people can't make it today.
Oh, great, because then
Fortunately,
I can go back.
remembered. So yeah, let me share the screen and let's bring up our Padlet. And just to remember what we were working on, it was, focusing on composition. And I think I challenged you to say, less is more, and to say, let's play around with, these ideas that we talked about. I think the challenge was too, how busy, quote unquote, can you make it work? Can you make a strong design and include some of the detail that you want to? So this is really what we're doing here. And I just want to stress that, I'm not teaching this class as a kind of, what would be the word, craft class. Like there are, jelly plate classes that are much more oriented to craft, and they're about trying out really cool, sort of processes. And then, but they don't take you into what's a good design, how about color, how about content, it sort of leaves you there. So I feel like this class is actually an excellent beginning for painting or any other class that you might want to take. I really try to teach it on that level. So
What I really like about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree, and it isn't a craft class. What I like about it is there's something that the tactile part of it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what I like it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
understanding that it is painting.
It's painting. I mean,
Yeah.
this is paint. You can't get closer to painting than monoprinting. It really is the Swiss cousin of painting. And everything you're learning about color and composition applies on a huge scale, on a canvas, or on a little tiny 4x5. It's really the same stuff. Scale and proportion and color mixing, all that stuff is here. We're looking at Ellen's, because sometimes she ends up being the last person because she's on our, she's still doing. Yeah, I'm just teasing you. All right, Ellen, tell us a little bit about what
Well,
you're
this
doing
was
here.
the first one I did.
Okay.
I'm thinking less is more, simple.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was basically triangles.
And it is not a simplistic print at all. I think you have a lot going on in here. And you're using white as a color. And again, we have repetition. Our eye goes to triangles, but it is not boring because the triangles overlap, and you've got colors that repeat, colors that mix. There's a lot of strength in this as you might say, relatively simple ingredients. So, all right. Then what happened?
Ooh.
Then
So-
I kept adding colors. And then I just put the lines in because I was trying. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear
Oh,
you.
okay.
Mhm, yep.
Because I felt like I needed a straight line.
Okay, so what you did was, so this one, the beginning one doesn't exist anymore, or does that exist?
Oh, they all exist.
Okay. So this was like a from the same kind of print, and this was like a ghost, maybe one that you're printing ghosts over.
No, this is a different one entirely.
Okay, all right, okay. So I just want to get a sense of
Yeah.
all right, and this one is also, so the last one, seems like it needs a focus.
Yeah.
Maybe, but we can talk about that. But this one, what about this one?
So this one, I did the background, the dark background. And then I probably covered up some areas, and then I did the lighter color.
Okay, yeah. And how do you
Say
feel
that
about
again?
this as a design?
How did you?
How I did it?
Yeah.
I did the dark color was on the background. And
Okay.
then
Oh, I see. Oh, nice.
put the I covered up the dark areas.
Oh, wow.
I put like white on the jelly plate, a lighter color, and then
Yeah.
I put the strips on in the different shapes.
And what do you think about this one, Ellen, as a design?
Yeah, this one makes more sense to me.
Yeah, this is also strong. Yep.
Yeah, this
Again,
works.
Yeah, it does work, and you have everything, you know, that we've talked about that really does contribute to a strong design. Exactly. What about this
I
one?
like that. It has the repetition in it.
Exactly.
It's almost monochromatic. I mean, the other one that we were just looking at. And there's some, it really does work. And you really did keep it simple.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah. Right. When we
Repetition of the shapes and how you use the shapes and the
exactly. So,
textures
I
are,
mean, you may not, be in love with every single one of these, but
Yeah.
this is all about what are you learning? What can you take forward? You
Mhm.
know, and what about this one, Ellen?
This kind of reminds me of the other one that didn't work, but this one is this works a little more. I mean, it's an all over design,
Yeah.
but it leaves me a little flat. But I do think there's something interesting in the textures or whatever.
I do, and this seems to have an inner kind of glow, and it has to do also with where you're leaving your white open. Which
yes.
sometimes is accidental, but you maybe from doing these things-
Entirely accidental.
yeah. But once you've done it, suppose so here's the thing, you guys. After a bunch of experimentations, like after this class, you may want to just focus on doing a series of prints that are, in fact, we should do this this is probably where we should start doing that.
Mhm.
It would be good to take an idea of how to make a print and then just see if we can make a related, 6 or 7 prints, that are kind of similar in some ways.
Yes.
Like, for example, how would you do this with that one? You might change, you might want, to stay with the same kind of your stencils, and maybe just shift your colors a little bit, like, a different range of colors, but to see if, you can evoke the same kind of feeling of light coming through. But I mean, so I mean,
Yeah, and I think, and the thing that's really if I was going to do like a series with that one,
Yeah.
what's really interesting to me on the one before is there's the ones that are lighter,
Yeah.
that are shining through, and they have more of a white to it. Like,
Yeah.
I love all of the textures and the layers. It's almost like a Picasso, but those angles that are there, you could really play with directing the eye
Right.
around
exactly.
like
you could
where
do
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do very well just to stay with the same kinds of stencils and
Yeah.
just play with those over a series of. Okay, so I want to make sure we get to everybody, Ellen. So, and again, I mean, so I'm not seeing your confusion about crispness. I see that you're getting some good crispness here. Maybe the one that was the second one we looked at might be the one that might, you're kind of losing the crispness, but then I think, we have some strategies. So just thinking about what we all know, how could we bring back a little bit more, maybe imagery or like sort of suppose, even bring back some of the shapes. What are some of the strategies that you could use?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
The question is, if I don't wait for the paint to dry,
Yep.
does that prevent the crispness?
No, not at all. The beauty of the open acrylics is because you're generally using them so thinly, they really are fine to print right over.
Okay.
Sometimes it might happen if you're, using a lot of paint, but, usually that shouldn't be the problem. I think here, maybe we just, we need to bring back a stronger image. Like if you wanted to bring back one more stencil, maybe roll up black over the whole thing and then just put down your triangles again and, print this over. So the triangles would save some of these kind of multicolored areas, but block out a lot of the other. So you'd have, you have back a strong, a bunch of strong shapes again. Or you could use white, or you could use one of the metallic colors, but that would be a way to, block out some of this other stuff and then, kind of go with some of the things you like about your color.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
it's
think
not-
I'm just gonna play with it and use this because it's not precious.
exactly. Well, that's the great thing. I mean, I always like, having a problem with one of my prints because that means that I'm going to learn. That means that's where the learning happens because you don't really know for sure what you should do. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Ellen. Let's see.
Thank you.
All right, here's our print stuff. Let's see, Katie, you're on the top here. So, so what do you think about, what have you learned about, and I do want to kind of go quickly, but make
Yes,
sure.
please, yeah.
But what have you learned about being a little bit more simple?
Well, I've worked with, I worked with a couple of shapes like stencils. This is something that I actually cut out. It's like a stencil.
Great.
And the first time I used it, I'm sorry, some of these are upside down, but the first time I used this,
Yeah.
so it's the same stencil. This is
Yeah.
the negative of it. I just rolled, I cut it
Yeah.
out. So I just rolled over it. And this is what, and when I lifted it up, that's what was left.
Yes.
But I also used that, flipped it over
Yeah.
and pressed it onto like some of my other prints, like this, the flower
Well, hold
on the other one. But
because-
I really like this.
Yeah, I was
like
just going to
this.
say that I
Love
think, I just want to say that I think this is a very strong design that
Yep.
is, has a lot of complexity because you're giving us the way the paint is, fluctuating in the way back here. There's a lot to look at, and there's also a lot to look at in the stencil, and so we have repetition of form, we have, a nice, I think it's a good balance of positive, negative. I think
Yeah,
that there's a lot to be said for this print here. And you've come a huge way because I know that one of, things we've been working on since we've started working together, Katie, is to try to figure out, because you have so many ideas, when is it time to stop?
Yeah.
And I think you nailed it with this one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like black and white.
Yes. Black and white is incredibly
You know?
strong. Yep.
I think it makes it really feel really sophisticated, the black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, I took a
Love it.
lot of time cutting, doing this stencil, and I was washing around this morning and it got wet. And even though I really took care, like I covered it in like thick packing tape so I could really cut it,
Yeah.
and it kind of melted a little bit, but I really like it as a design,
Yes.
it's like something, it's real, but there's so much that I can do with that, of what's behind it or what's on top of it, or,
Well,
I think that it's got an amazing energy. Like it feels very fresh, and
it
know,
does.
I feel like sometimes stencils can feel a little bit
oh yeah, they're too
Like-
perfect, they're too cut out.
yeah, there's like
Yeah.
this sort of a contour line, blind contour sort of feel to it that's like very
Yeah.
so much nice energy. I think that and the mark making that happened in the back with
Mm,
you doing the rolling over top
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
don't have like the flat,
Yeah,
more traditional kind of print sort of thing. This looks very much more almost like a drawing,
yeah,
Yes.
and it
looks
was
like-
taking the time to really do this cutout and what clumps I wanted,
Yeah.
I wanted something that was like the brand, and so that you could see through the trees, and I could have different
So-
effects. So,
Katie, do you
then
feel
I
like
used
this
it
is
again.
finished? Is this finished?
oh yeah, I wouldn't
Okay,
touch
good.
this one.
Okay, because I was going to say, you said you might want to do more to it. No. I
No,
mean, I
no,
also think
more,
that,
I might do other ones,
yeah, good.
but I could,
Because I just
Well,
want
that's
to
the
say,
beauty of having a
when it's an
stencil. Right?
original, pardon me?
I mean, that's the beauty of having the stencil, right?
Yeah.
Like then
Yeah.
you can really work on a series.
Right, and
play
when you
around.
make it yourself, that's the nice thing, is when you make a stencil yourself and you
Yeah.
get it just the, you know,
So, right, and I want to, let's just go back here. So, let's see, so some of the
So-
other ones here.
so the
So
orange
Katie,
one.
but
Yeah,
let's
go
just
ahead.
say, I just want to say one more thing about the strength of black and white. And you know, what we were talking about in terms of how, you know, how content can be the colors you used, you know, how you infuse this with content because it's black and white. We don't, you know, this has got a sort of, this isn't a pretty day in the park. This has
Right.
an emotional quality
Yeah.
to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just want you to notice that, everybody here to notice that, because that is, you know, beginning to really make art out of this process. You know, there you go, where you don't need a lot and you say a lot with a little bit, you know, it really speaks to, you know, a sort of an emotional feeling. So just to,
And that's what I want,
yeah.
you know, so, thank you for the feedback on that one.
Great. You know what, I think I want to go a little bit more quickly.
Go ahead.
If
Yeah.
that's okay today.
Yep.
Just because we
You
want
can, you
to,
can skip over, if you want to, the other ones that, the one that's right underneath it, it's upside down, but you know,
This
it's okay.
this one here.
It's still a cutout that I used, and
Okay.
it's a steeple and a weather vane with a card on top of a,
Yeah.
that's in Cuttyhunk, the island of Cuttyhunk, which I love. And it was
Okay, well-
actually, this was actually inspired by, I had this thing and I wanted to cut it out and use it as a print. But I also was a little inspired by that Matisse
Uh-huh.
painting that you showed.
Yep, yep, yep. Mhm.
And then there's one other one that has that print on it. Oh, I wonder if I add it to go, well, maybe it's not there. And I added some other things to it, like, well, I can show too, but some other black squares.
Oh, I see. Maybe this one here.
Yeah, no,
Well-
that's not it anyways, but,
Anyway,
anyways, it was something that I was inspired by the composition of that Matisse one that we took. And
good.
it-
That's,
remember with the,
Yeah,
all the different
do.
designs and
Yep.
squares that kind of fell out.
I do.
So anyways, that's what I was working on, those things. Thanks.
Okay, let's see. Wow, Mary's putting up a lot of stuff here. I think what, guys, I'm going to do is probably talk, not about everything.
Adria, Adria, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Adria,
Yes, Mary, I see you, I hear you. Yes.
not ready. I haven't,
Okay.
I haven't put up, am I the last one? I'd rather
No.
go last.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, well, we'll come back to you. Okay, let's see. Sarah, let's talk about you. So, let's see, this one is new. Let's put this one up. So what was your journey this week? And what do you think?
So two of the ones that I included are ones that I've been working on for a little while, for a couple
Yeah.
weeks. And so I didn't have as much time to sort of dive into doing, like, focusing on more simple. So I just kind of was working on stuff that I had already been working on. And so these are transfers. And
Oh,
and
yes.
this is a larger, so this is 12 by 14,
Mhm,
a
mhm.
larger plate. So this is a combination of transfers and then actually collaging the image that had been photocopied on top also.
Yes, yeah.
And then so various layers of in the back of, like, blocking out using, you know, cutouts and printing, and then printing back over top of that using the transfers. And so I don't know. I mean, I've been struggling with this one a lot, and yeah, I guess I'm happier with it with the sort of three larger thing, shapes in the front. I think the overlapping and the composition is working better with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was just trying to evoke a feeling of kind of layered, like sort of natural elements kind of floating in a sea, and just really playing with composition and the transfer. So I don't know. I'm not happy with it totally, but I don't know, just sort of an experiment.
Right. Well, again, it's so good to keep on working with something until you feel that it's kind of resolved itself. Is this the other one, Sarah, that you want to?
Yeah, that's a new one that I did this week, and that was
Oh.
really just experimenting with the transfer. Like I said, I have trouble.
Yeah.
I said this last week, I have trouble with the jelly plate transfers always. I just feel like they're not very reliable for me.
Yeah. Yes, it's hard. It's really tricky.
And it's just sort of, I don't know. You kind of have to, for me, I just sort of have to let go of any plan with it and just play around. So that's what this was. And this is a smaller one.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
playing around with shapes and just that's just a little experiment.
Yeah.
And then
I think this is a pretty successful design here, however.
yeah.
I do. And, I feel like maybe this is just for me right now, that it has more elements than it needs. I think I need a little breathing space.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just something to think about, because there's a lot going on. Like you have these which are very powerful elements.
Yeah.
And you've got this, and we've got some of this other stuff. But again, this is a bigger sheet of paper, so it could, it might be really holding its own in person, but I think maybe that's.
No, I think it's that I'm struggling with those things too. Like, I think I'm trying to figure out ways to get layers in that were a little bit more sheer and not so, because it's like to have a nice contrast between the black and white, that bold kind of shape, and then more delicate layering, and it's not.
Sarah, everything, when I look at this, and for some reason it's showing off on the left of the screen, Adria. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, wait.
No, not me.
Wow, okay.
The whole thing.
I like
What I
that.
about it was, oh, it's so funny. Huh.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. This might be the time for some cropping to go on. Like, one thing you might do is, I'm just holding my hands up on the screen, that this feels like a very strong piece, and I wonder what would happen if you cropped across here and then had these two elements to deal with. Anyway.
Sarah, are those really clear, like urchin shapes or flat? Are those all transfers?
Yeah.
Wow, those are good transfers.
Yeah, what technique did you use? Which
Well,
one?
I used I did the just black and white photocopy
Oh, okay.
an image and transferred it using the medium.
So I think that's more successful than our.
Yeah. Wow.
Do it.
I find it to be easier than the other, just because you can be a little bit more, I guess it's just a more dependable outcome.
Yeah.
Right. And also
Maybe.
you're not relying on the fact that you just have to have that, that kind of paper, because,
Right. And that's what I like about it, is that then you
can do anything. Yeah.
Right. And then so the image that's closest to you, the bigger one, that's the actual photocopy itself.
Yeah.
After using it as a transfer. So you get so
See,
the back ones are transfers, and then this one is the photocopy that I used as the transfer. So it has sort of a, worn look.
And Sarah, were you using open medium when you transferred the photocopy?
No, it's just regular medium.
I don't think you would want to use open
Regular,
medium.
like
You know,
Huh?
I would not use open medium to transfer your images. That's,
Oh.
I would use any other thing but open medium because it does dry fast enough.
Just like a
Adrian.
regular matte medium.
Yes, matte
But
medium.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is new information. If you put matte medium on your plate, won't it dry really quickly?
No,
And
you
No,
don't,
so
you
this
don't
is
put
not
it on
your
your
plate.
plate.
This is
This
not
is
on your
the other
plate.
way of doing it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Well,
So
so you know
you-
what? Let me go back to this after we're done talking, Mary, and
Okay.
I can explain this. Yeah. Okay, great. Sarah, I think I'm gonna go back and see some of our other classmates here. But thank you. You know, that's really interesting to see.
So,
And,
sorry, can I just do one?
oh,
Can I just show the
please.
one I do think that is successful is
Yes,
the
yes.
one that's next to it?
This one.
And that was a combination of transfer.
Ah,
and-
yes. Yeah,
that's-
this is really successful. And, you know, it's that balance of having, you know, kind of a breathing area and complexity.
How did you get the
Oh.
black line, Sarah?
it's
The
net
black lines I
positive,
drew
negative.
onto it.
Sorry?
What about the white?
Wait a minute,
didn't-
We have a lot of people talking at once. So the
Okay,
question was, how
sorry.
did, how did Sarah do the lines? She's saying that she actually painted these on to the actual piece of paper. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
and that
Thank you.
speaks to, we don't always have to do all printing all the time on our gel plates. You know, remember what we had done in last class, which was, you know, to start out with a line, you know, but done with another means, you know, draw it on or paint it on, or do stamp printing. I mean, you know, this is really, your jelly can be simply one technique that you use on a work of art. This is painting, everybody. We are painting here. And so, you know, because of painting, you know, painting it's not a purist kind of thing we're doing here. We are allowed to intermix lots of different things to the work. Yeah, very, very successful, I think, too. And this, did you
So
want to
that-
tell us quickly how you did this?
So that one's a transfer.
A chance.
That,
Okay,
yeah,
Ah.
that sort of, that one. And then using the matte medium.
yes. I will give a demo on how to do this transfer after we are done with talking.
And then, yeah, I drew that same image next to it
Yeah.
was the idea. On the
Yeah.
rest.
I love, that's, yeah, really an interesting
Yeah,
piece.
it's a nice
I
one.
like
Yeah.
I like the colors that you used
Hmm.
and how they break down like the geometry of the shapes.
Yes, so again, you know, when you look at it on a
Little bit of
smaller
color.
scale, it's easier to see how the design is working and also how the colors kind of distribute. So we have this like, you know, yellow, it's repeated down here. We have a rectangular darker shape that balances visually. This is that weird, you know, I have a very hard time explaining it, but you know, kind of, you know it when you see it. There's a visual balance of weight. So something
Mm.
less busy, you know, or all of the space here is balanced by a sort of darker, simpler shape over on the left-hand side, you know. It's hard, it's a little hard to explain, like the you know, this area here all balances with this. And the, you know, and the way that the colors are distributed through this whole thing. So that's visual weight. All right, let's see who's next here. Here comes Tammy back in. Mary Ellen, are you here to talk about your work? I know Mary Ellen was going to be a little late today. No, doesn't sound like she is. Okay, so let's go to Mary. Are you ready now to talk or not? No, I don't think she's. Mary, are you ready? Okay, we'll come back to Mary.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay, you're ready. Very good. All right, Mary, you have a lot. I think let's just focus on a couple to talk about today. Which one do you want to talk about?
I feel like when I start talking, nobody ever hears me, but
We hear you.
I hear you.
Yeah, we hear
I-
you.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah.
do a lot of printmaking this week, but I wanted, since we were talking about composition,
Yeah.
I wanted to put up all these colorful ones because
Hmm.
I'm not exactly sure where I'm going. And so I just wanted to have a moment to talk about them.
Sure.
The ones on the top line are just a continuation of the dagger that I did last week. And then the one that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one. No,
Yeah,
no,
Yep.
no, left.
third from the right. On the second, on the bottom.
That one. Yeah.
Oh,
So that one I did, I inked, not in ink, I brushed medium on an image from a magazine
Mhm. Uh-huh.
and pulled it off.
Uh-huh.
Got some residue and it pulled off some of the paper and everything. And then I overprinted it with a photograph of mine in my printer that was a wreck of a car.
Mm.
So that's what I got. And I don't know if that's even considered printmaking because I took an image, that I placed on the paper and pulled it off. And then I overprinted it.
So as I said before, in this class, we're not being purist printmakers. We're actually making paintings using printmaking techniques. That's what this is, really. So, I mean, this is what this class is for me. So I'm not a purist, in which case you can put whatever you want to do in your print, in your work, Mary. And it's, it's all about, using the techniques that you need to get to express yourself.
Adria, that's my question. My question is, this would be acceptable in a printmaking show?
Oh, well, I don't know about a printmaking show, but in my class, yes. Printmakers tend to be quite, there's a sort of thing about printmakers. If this is your first class, you may not realize that, but, printmaking includes engraving and intaglio and lithograph and all kinds of things. And monoprint is kind of on the outer edge of acceptability because, it's, and I am really not a fan. I think that is very old. It's a very old fashioned way of looking at art making, where you relegate something to the technique it's been done rather than talking about it as a work of art. So
then my question was wrong. Would it be acceptable in a monotype show? Which is more, more open-minded.
Well, probably.
Okay.
well,
I would
is
say,
it,
yeah.
is it something that you'd want to exhibit or submit to an exhibit? I think maybe
That's
is
the
that-
question. Yes. Do you
that's the
feel
question,
good
right?
about this piece? I think you should feel really good about it. I personally feel it's incredibly strong because of all those above things. There's an expression through it. I don't see the image, but it doesn't matter because the abstract language that you're using here does convey to me a feeling of, an ominous, threatening, anxiety producing kind of a feeling. The colors of gray, black, and white, the fact that it's kind of an overall design, the marks that are not crisp and clean, but they're very expressive. All of these things give me a feeling of, kind of a strong statement about human emotion.
Mhm.
What about the rest of you feeling? What about the rest of you? Do you agree?
I totally agree with that. If I crop it down, that there's like this central space, that very strong dark mark with a darker, purer blue-green right in there. And you go around, it's almost like a mask. And you see the eye and a
Yeah.
mouth on the other side, and then there's
Yeah.
the circle at the top that's almost it's very ominous and very kind of human. And I would crop it down just above a little bit, I don't know, an inch or so above the darker circle that's kind of in the center above, right? And it just focuses in on that, and my eye just travels around, and it is wow, I find that very powerful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
it has like this feeling of history and like of ghostliness.
Yeah.
Yes, it really does.
Yep.
Well said. Yeah.
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 Well, so these are the
Like
kinds
a
of things
A
that,
Greek drama or something.
Mhm.
right,
Mhm.
I think.
All of you, when you tear off you get wonderful texture when you pull off a transfer from the paper when it doesn't like work
Mhm.
very well.
Yeah.
What came through when I overprinted it was kind of fun.
So that's the happy accident that we love to find, when you didn't anticipate something, or maybe, you could say that it mistakenly stuck, but it provided you, with such a wonderful thing here. These are the kinds of things that are made of art making, and the art part of it is noticing that they are really interesting, where instead of finding it a mistake and throwing it away, you're saying, wait a minute, there's something here that I want to hold on to. That is the art making eye that comes in, so yay. Good, Mary. So yeah, is there another one you want to focus on? And then I think we're going to move on, just because I want to make sure we see everybody before noon.
Wanted to get like a reaction to the colorful ones. We don't have to talk about them individually necessarily,
Okay.
but just,
I'm
like,
going to pick this one, okay?
Okay.
Can I say something? It's Ellen.
Please. Yeah, Ellen.
It's, first of all, Mary's colors are so
Yeah.
vibrant and mine are not, okay?
I know.
And I don't know how she gets these vibrant colors, and I want to get those. And I just think it's so interesting that Mary zoomed in on the black and white, when all of her others are so colorful.
but
Well,
Leo,
wait a minute.
I'd like to
Yeah.
know how you get those vivid colors like that too. Would you explain how you did this one?
everybody, these are not monotypes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this is
Oh.
not monoprinting. So
Oh.
yeah,
Okay.
no, this is painting. But
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could get those vivid colors in monotypes. Whoops.
But you can,
You can get those vivid colors in
can.
monotypes. Yeah. Why?
how?
How?
you
Go
put
ahead.
a lot of, well, number one, if you want it like so saturated, vivid colors, you put a lot of paint on it, right? First of all, you don't put a thin coat of paint, you put a heavier coat of paint. So it's like a big dose of that pigment, right?
Let me just say a couple things.
But you can also paint in between. And
You can. Let me just stop and sort of talk you guys through this. So look, monoprint does have a characteristic, and in it you can get things that you can't get as easily, or sometimes you can never get, like the textural stuff. You can't get that in any other way but monoprinting, right? Or transferring. It also has to do with the kind of paper you're using. Like if you do a monoprint on Yupo, which is not absorbent, you are much more likely to get a stronger color. This carrying over a brush mark is really hard. So you wouldn't want to try to get this effect in monoprinting, because that it's not one of the things that monotype does terribly well, right? There are other ways to get that. So what you want to do is think about what monotype does well and use it for what you need it for, and use painting for what the painting does really well. Because it shouldn't be one or the other. That's why I say, do look at all of this stuff as making paintings in many different ways, right? And yes, you can get really vivid color. Or why not? I mean, sure, we've seen lots of people doing vivid color. It's just understanding, how to do that. Like maybe, Ellen, what you're asking is, that not all of your monoprinting has to be done rolling up with a brayer. And maybe what you should do is, put the brayer aside and then take a brush to your jelly and put down some of these brush marks. You can do that, and that's something that you might really want to do today, is to do that. And I can also just show you a quick demo when we're done looking at all this stuff. So I think it is a matter of thinking about what is the easiest and best way to make marks. But yeah, so Mary, what are your thoughts about this? How do you feel about it?
I think it's so funny that you picked this one because I thought this was the worst one, the messiest one. So
Oh, this is the one I would have picked as my favorite of the
Oh.
colorful ones, just in a quick, like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what I was
Yeah.
doing too.
The
wow.
one that, the third from the right on the second row down. Yep, right. No, you just, the next one over. You just had it. No, no, that one there. Nope, that one. Yep.
Sorry.
You're clicking on the, you got to get to the one underneath it.
So,
Yep, you
well,
gotta-
everybody, you know
yeah,
what? I
that
think we can just look at
Yeah,
all
I
of
think
these.
that-
I mean, Mary, these are all very strong.
That.
I think,
I
you
mean,
know,
that's
I
a
like
pour.
that
Those
one.
are-
Yeah.
and that's a pour on top, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's like a
yeah.
Joan Marot, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I think what you're saying, look, everybody, look at these from from a distance. I don't want to focus on anyone because they're working design-wise very, very well because of repetition of shapes, using colors in different places, drawing your eye around. You know, the mark making, especially in this one, feels not forced. It feels very much, sort of an expressive mark. So I think that they're exciting to look at, and the
Mhm.
design carries the eye through them all. So I think they're all quite successful. Yay. Really. And you guys, would you agree about that in terms of design? Like, you might find that
Yeah.
some are more
Yeah.
successful than others, but generally speaking, I find all of these paintings to be really working.
Adria?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, it's Maddie. I just want
Maddie.
to say I'm so sorry I haven't been able to come to class. I've been moving and like just crazed. But
Okay.
anyway, so I just, I came on today, and Mary, I think I love the colors. I'm so drawn
Yeah.
to these pieces. I
Got a
think you did
great
job.
palette there.
And I
Mhm.
know there were some other things in the past you did that Ellen showed me real quick, but there was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. Okay, I'm gonna look at your recordings, but
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
very anxious to try some of these.
Yeah.
But I love these, Mary.
Yeah, no, this is, just keep doing more of them. I mean, I think that this is, these are quite successful. You're hearing other people too engaged, I think, for all those same reasons. There's a freshness, there's a, a spontaneity, and, and yet, you're using your design sensibility to, keep our eyes engaged throughout.
Yep.
Look, you have things go off the edge. I'm a big fan of that, right? So, mostly because it grounds it, and you're paying attention to your outer edges, like we were saying all along. You're repeating your colors, repeating some shapes. You're, have a nice balance of positive and negative. These are all the design elements that will help us all make strong design choices. So, yeah.
Mary, I could see these being very large too.
Mhm, mhm.
They're 22 by 30.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
wow.
Keep
Wow.
going with it. Keep going with
Nice.
it, Mary. Yeah. Whatever
I
you,
see.
whatever you
Wow.
did to get in the mind frame, to do this, just go back to it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You have such a wonderful color sense, and how you use your palette, how you use those colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, appreciate your
It's
look.
it's an interesting study to look at them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Bravo.
so-
Okay, so here's a case where, well, Mary maybe doesn't need to do mono printing right now when she's in the midst of doing these, because it isn't really,
Yeah.
it's like, she doesn't need it. I mean, here's one where I could see these having been mono printed on, but if you don't need it, you don't have to use it. I mean, heck, you know these techniques, and maybe they got you here for some reason, Mary. It's all a continuum, everybody. It's really not, it's not, all or nothing. It's
Right.
it's,
So I just needed to paint this week,
that's great. Go for it. Yeah.
I
Very
really,
good. Yeah. Good. All
thank
right, Kate, let's talk about you.
Well, I just threw a couple up quick.
That's good. I'm glad you threw a couple up. Great. Yeah. So tell us about, what are you thinking? What are
Well,
your
I mean,
thoughts on
I'm disappointed in both of them. I mean, I sort of just feel like, I'd like to have a better design, if you will.
Mm,
And, just learning the challenges of trying to get things where you want them.
yeah.
At least I was happy. I'm like, I really like the white in the
Great. Yes.
finished pieces. So,
Yes.
finding that,
Yeah.
yeah. So, just playing around.
Good. Playing around is so great.
I don't know what else. I mean, to me, like maybe this just becomes something I use later on something. I
Yes.
don't know that there's much more to be done with it.
Well, hold on. I beg to differ with you. I think that you may be at the beginning of a print here.
This one.
Yeah. So
Yeah, this one I feel is at a beginning,
it
but
is
I'm not
beginning.
sure what I'd love some thoughts on.
Okay, so I'm going to hear from somebody else. What sort of things do you think that Kate could do here to keep going a little bit longer on this print? What do you think it needs?
Introduce some stronger shapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how might she do that? What would you say? What kind of technique might she use?
Stencil. So she would get some clean edges along with the fuzzier edges. So they would play between the edges.
And in terms of color,
There's a
what
repeatable pattern, pull out maybe a bit of a repeatable pattern
yeah.
at the same time.
You know what would be really nice on this, if you have it? Quinacridone burnt orange would be dynamite on this.
Say it again.
Quinacridone burnt orange.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kate, there's what I would say too is so maybe introducing another color, but you could go to both of these colors and bring in a darker version. So
Yeah.
like this looks like to be a maybe magenta.
Yeah,
but
I think it was.
It
Yeah.
looks like the ghost of a magenta. So one thing you
Yeah.
could do is and you've also used this design element. It looks like corrugated cardboard.
Yeah.
How about rather than doing it right on the jelly and then printing it, doing it, getting some of your cardboard, dipping it in or brayering on a stronger amount of your magenta, and then printing, pressing down on your corrugated cardboard in a couple of places. 3 is a great number. I like using odd numbers because I think that odd numbers tend to give us a less sort of even, more static. An odd number is more more off balance and more interesting. So maybe a couple of places where you just print with a darker corrugated cardboard, a couple places on this would give you a focal point. So that's something you can always go to. But I think, yeah, you could also take like a very different color. I would say, maybe like even a black to block out, and then just maybe do a stencil where you're saving some of this information, but the rest becomes black so that, you have a very strong point of point to go to. Anyway, there are definitely things that you can do with this. And as I always say, when you have one at this stage, it's really fun to play with it because, it could go either way. Yeah. But don't be afraid to play it. At this stage in the game, you're still playing, and that's really, really great.
Yeah. Could I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
On the other one, if you were going to block out and sort of pick something to keep and pick something to save with black, what area would you find, might you choose to keep, if you will?
Well, somebody want to answer that? Maybe 2 places or even 3 places. Maybe one isn't, I didn't mean.
Yeah.
One. Yeah, I would take 3. And when you do that, you could do small, medium, large. Remember that little variety of things that we had before? Yeah. So you can even take 3 ovals, 3 different sized ovals, stick them on the black that you rolled up and then print that. And then you'll see all of a sudden you'll have a whole different print.
What if, Kate, made Xerox copies of this and then did like 3 different things with it and showed us next week, because I think this is a great example of continuing to work with, something like this.
Mhm. Yeah, you could do
That's
that.
a nice
too.
idea. I mean, practically speaking, I don't know, you have to, I don't think I can put this through my little home printer. Maybe I can, but,
No. I would take a picture of it, Kate, and then print it out 3 different times.
oh,
So then
I
you
see.
have, you can play with those other ones and see what you like,
oh, that's
try a couple
interesting.
of different variations. If you'd like to do that, that would be really interesting, I think, to try that.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
thank you. Those are great
Those
ideas.
are all great ideas. This is really great work. Kate, you're right where you should be. And, yeah, I think it's all work in progress. Mary Ellen, you just walked in. Hi.
I am still driving though.
Okay, all right. So we won't, yeah. I know that you uploaded a couple here. Yeah, you really tried a lot of really good things here. You did a nice transfer. That's a great transfer. You did that. And that's because you had a really,
Oh, I like
I
that.
love the
too.
use of the word living, because, you just kind of take that out of context and it has content, does it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
down below that, the little squigglies in the bottom, it says 101.
Oh.
It didn't come out very well.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
I love that color, that aquary.
Yeah, it's a beautiful aqua color. Yep. I think that's phthalo green mixed with white, Kate. Something like that.
Actually, it's not. It is a pale green color
Oh,
by itself.
okay.
It comes that way.
Okay, great. And then some of these other ones, wow, you've got a lot going on here with your stencil. What do you want to say about that, you guys? What are your thoughts about these ones that are very complex?
Oh, the ones that are with the mask over them.
Oh, you still have the mask on. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about, Mary Ellen. Yeah.
So those I was trying to get the look of a stained glass window,
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
and I went on the net and got a picture of a stained glass window and cut out all the centerpieces
Okay.
and then just placed them over the existing prints
Yeah.
and took a picture of it to
Oh,
see what
that's
it
a
would
good
look
idea.
like.
That's a really good idea.
I think it would look better if the
If it was
stained
reversed.
glass, the bars
Yeah.
were black rather
Yes.
than
Yes.
the bronzy
Well-
color that they are.
Well, what you can do is roll out the ink onto that on a separate piece of paper and then flip it over so it presses down, and then roll over or press that down. And so
Yeah.
it's like a printing on top of, do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's what I did. I did that with my cutout of the trees.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to think about.
And it becomes more of an impression instead of
Yeah.
Right.
exact lines.
Yeah.
I mean, my feeling about this though is,
And then if
I guess,
doesn't work, then I can paint over it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could do that. Yeah, and you get some nice transfers here too. That was really successful. That really worked well. This is a transfer, Mary Ellen. How did you do this one?
Is that the one with the lady in the
The
dress?
lady, yeah.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
she's
that.
one of my great aunts. I'm not sure which one, but
Oh,
she's- that's what
fabulous.
she
Oh,
is.
wow.
And so I printed out the picture on the computer
Yeah.
paper in my inkjet printer.
Oh.
And
yeah,
then
the ink-
I covered the picture with matte medium, and I covered the paper I was transferring it to with matte medium, and just let it sit for a while until the images married.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I peeled off the paper.
Yeah, that's the
Wow.
classic way
Seems like-
of doing this. And I was going to show you guys another way of doing it today too. That's similar. It's a little more immediate, but this is, you know, I think the fact that it is a little bit, what's the word,
Like
distressed.
marred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really adds to it. You know, it's
Oh, me
you
too.
kind
I
of
love
don't
it.
necessarily want the perfect reproduction of your
Right.
picture. Like, why do that? Because you already have it. What you want to try and do is make some, you know, to kind of turn it into art, that whatever that is. And so I think, you know, in the process of doing that, you know, it has like it feels like history, though what Sarah was saying before about the fact that it's a little bit distressed, you know, gives us that sense.
Yeah.
Good.
And after I finished peeling off all the paper,
Yeah,
then I went over it with matte medium
yeah,
because there was still a lot of white fuzzies on it.
yes.
And that kind of blended in the white fuzzies so that they weren't quite so pronounced.
Yeah, well, you know
Yeah.
what, gloss medium actually helps that better. But then after you
Oh.
make it glossy, if you want it matte, you can go back over the matte. But the glossy medium does seem to take away some of the little fuzz.
Some of the fuzziness.
Yeah. I know, we'll explain later. Okay, so let's see, you know, of your more abstract ones, I'm gonna pick out this one here with the circles, Mary Ellen, the
I love that
magenta
one.
and blue as being a very strong design.
That's one that I had done last week and put up.
Yeah,
And we were saying that it was so busy, so I just cut it up into shapes
no,
and
nope.
collaged it.
Wait a minute, different one.
Oh,
I know,
different
this is the one that's not cut up. This one is on the page. It's got like a figure 8 through it, of the white.
Let me see if I can see.
Don't get into an accident.
No, well, I'm on
Over.
the side right now. I don't
like-
remember that
It's
one.
it's like a,
Oh, the blue and the
yeah, the
Yeah.
blue and the red.
magenta one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
But-
That was an interesting one because that's actually a ghost,
yeah.
even though because the original one I had put the blue down and then I removed those things and then I printed over it with the magenta.
Yes.
And when I had finished it all, then I just did the ghost and pulled everything up. And that's why you get all those little markies and circles and all of that.
Well, I think this adds to the
On it.
interest, you know,
Yeah.
I just have to say that this is more interesting to me than this one here, although that is pretty cool that you did that with the stained glass. I'm more interested in looking at this one.
Yeah.
You
me
know, and
too.
that speaks to that whole thing we were talking about with,
Mhm.
you know, not expecting the perfect edges with the stencil. That in fact,
Yeah.
you get, you know, sort of more painterly edges. That's the word we use instead of messy. We use painterly, guys.
Okay.
And it's a good thing, painterly is,
Yeah.
because of that, because it echoes these shapes, it adds to your you know, composition a lot, that we see this, you know, our eye wants to look for these little distressed areas, but then we also have the sort of overall color, and then the blue and you know, I mean, so there's variety and repetition, and it goes off the page. It's got everything that you want, we hope for in a strong composition. And it's also really interesting because it says, well, what is going on here? You know,
And it's got the white in it too.
and it's
which-
got the white in it, so that has a fresh feeling to it. So I think for my money here, you really succeeded, Mary Ellen, in a very strong piece.
Mm.
You know, that
I'm happy with that one.
good,
Yeah.
good. You know, and so this one more than say the fishes, because although I think you really succeeded in making this far more interesting by the variety of shapes, you did that beautifully. It is not quite as interesting to me because of its, maybe it's more predictable, but this one is not
Yeah.
predictable. So there's that predictability factor that sort of, you know, stops our imagination. And, you know, that's just my perspective, you know, and I know some people are much more comfortable looking at things that are more predictable or more obvious what they are about. it is just me, but I wonder how you guys all feel about that.
Drawn to the one to the right of it, the collage.
Why,
That one.
Mary? Why so?
I guess because of the clean shapes, but the shapes themselves, what's in them is not so clean. I mean, it's very
Okay.
very painterly. And I like the movement. I like the shapes. I'm just drawn to it. And I
Okay.
I like the white,
All right,
background.
so
Yeah.
I
like it.
think that's fine. What I want to point out is, none of the shapes are going off the edge. I personally feel that this design could be more grounded. It tends to float on the page. So if Mary Ellen might, just attach one or two, just touching even an edge, I think I might be more interested, feel like it's a little bit more working on the page, working with the outer edges. And that's also really important, this outer edge
Could
here.
definitely crop that.
Just a bit, maybe just a little bit
Yeah.
in, so that even just this tip sits on an edge. And while
As
you're
opposed to everything being in the middle?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I also
Let
think
it touch.
if there were like a color behind this,
Yeah.
that was sort of floating, that could also ground it in a way.
Grounding it, yes.
Now, could I ask a couple of technique questions? Like if you wanted to add color behind this now, how would you do that? I mean, I guess you could block out all your shapes with the same shape.
That
But
would
that
be,
would be tricky.
yeah.
Tricky.
I've
Does it
done
make-
that before, so it's not that difficult to do. You just photocopy the piece and then cut out the shapes and then take
Oh.
the,
And
Oh,
remember
I
when
see.
Ellen did the one where it didn't register exactly with her high heel leg?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
Ah.
I thought that was so effective.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
could do the same
That's
thing
right.
here.
Oh, yeah.
Was.
And the other thing is, you could just simply paint in a background.
yeah.
You could do that, or you could also cut out the whole shape and put another background color underneath it. But it may not be through printmaking, Kate, is the answer. And like I said, use,
That's okay.
we shouldn't feel burdened by it all has to be printmaking, because there's certainly, it seems silly to do it in printmaking if there's a faster, easier way where you're going to get the same result that you would have anyway if you
Yeah.
print it. So sometimes painting is better, sometimes collage is better, sometimes cutting it out and putting on something else is better. There are other ways, and that's certainly part of what you can do, But great,
Yeah.
Mary Ellen. I'm so happy to see that you did go back in and you did try to make it work. And I think you're just learning and seeing all these different possibilities, and it's all really good. It's all really
Yeah.
good. So
I do have to
everybody-
confess, though, I
Yeah.
did have a hard time not doing prints that covered the whole page and have, tons of texture to it.
Yeah.
I had to restrain myself.
Yeah, because it's kind of breaking a habit, but that's good because you want to be able to use it all. Like, why limit
Yeah.
yourself if you can, do other things, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Very good, everybody. Really great to see. And I know we spent a long time looking, but I think it's all productive because I think I'm seeing a huge change in the way we're all looking at how we're using composition here. I mean, I don't know if you're feeling it, but I'm seeing it for sure. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Good, everybody. Tammy, you're sitting there, did you want to show us anything, or you're just visiting?
Yeah,
today?
no, I'm just sort of here to watch this week.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I did prepare a short video to show you on a little bit more about composition, but I mean, I think we kind of drilled it in. I don't know that we really need to take the time out to see it. I wonder if you want me to show you.
Would you at least send it to us?
I can send
would
it
you
Yeah.
send
to
it
you.
us?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I was
thank you,
gonna
'cause
ask that
I'm
too,
interested.
please.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because you know, I think we really, I think it's just a matter of using what you now know, you know, just keep using it. The more you use it, the more it's in the back of your head, you know, what can I do, you know, now to sort of change it, then you'll use it. Okay. The other thing is, would you like me to show you quickly this transfer process? It's called,
Yes.
it's a quick, what I want to say, toner.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so let me just do that. Okay, how to transfer a photo image very quickly. And it's a lot of what we already talked about, but it is a quick version of it. So let me just grab one of my toners here, my images I have here, and we'll talk about how to do this. So here, let me just bring this up for a minute. Just give me a second to find one, and then I will show you. So talk amongst yourselves for a second there, guys. And I will grab this.
Hi, Katie.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
I wanted to say to you, I love how you cut your stencils out. I think you're really skilled at creating interesting stencils.
Well, it's fun and it's interesting. Yeah, it's great to make your own.
Yeah.
Because they don't look so cookie cutter out.
Yes, well, that is wonderful to do one on your own, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I have, interestingly, just that kind of, this is a little, you know, demo page. And I have a, you know, in an image, it's an old woodcut actually. And I mean, one thing that's wonderful about this process is that you can find some really interesting, you know, things to blow up. Like this was a small little detail, you know, but because of, you know, what we can do with the computer and all that stuff, these get really interesting when you print them bigger. So anyway, I'm just gonna take this and show you what you can do with it. It's interesting. I mean, when you think about, you know, adding this into like an otherwise pretty abstract area. You know what, guys, I think I'm actually just going to do this on a plain sheet of paper. The reason is there's a lot of lumpiness going on in here because of the texture that I've used. So I think just to show you, make it easier on me, I'm going to just use it on a regular sheet of paper. Okay, so what I'm going to use to transfer this is some medium, some clear medium, although I could also do it with paint. So maybe I'll do a little bit with both of that. Show you what's possible here, because you really can do a transfer with any kind of an acrylic product.
Wait, when you say clear medium, I don't know what you mean.
Clear, like soft gel medium or clear tar gel. It's one of these clear acrylic mediums that you would add to your acrylic paint to extend it. So for example, let me just show you what this looks like. This is just
not matte medium, or
you could use matte medium too.
Oh.
You could any acrylic product you can use to transfer.
Oh, you can.
Can I see this better? Everybody see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just want to get Mary Ellen in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to brush this down. I'm going to use I'm going to brush
1218.
Mary Ellen, that's from you. You have to get off your phone.
Yeah, I'm doing that, trying to.
Okay, all right, so what I'm doing is, you guys see that it's a little blurry. Wow, I don't know why that is. Just gotta focus here. There we go. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just spreading that, this is clear tar gel. It's just a clear acrylic medium. It's also very sticky. It's a great glue. So let me just put some of this down here. And now, it's not super wet, and it's still really tacky. What I'm going to do now is put down my piece of paper, flipped it over, and I'm going to be very careful not to get any of this medium on the back of my laser toner print. Inkjet does not work as well. It's the laser toner, the toner that gets embedded into the acrylic.
Oh,
So I'm just pressing on the backs of this thing with my fingers and making sure that I get a really good,
So that means you
Texture.
have to go to Staples or someplace to get.
well, if you
oh,
if you don't have a laser toner printer at home, yes, you do need to do this. It just works better. Because ink, the inkjet is water soluble, and because acrylic is, a water soluble medium, it could mess with your image. I've had people show me that it works with that too, but
I
This is-
use just a regular inkjet printer.
yeah, see, always happens. I've learned just never to say never, because somebody will always prove me wrong. Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, and I think this is pretty good, is to, and I only did the top part of this tulip, not the whole thing. I'm going to now just pick up the edge here. Can everybody see that? And I'm just going to see if it started to transfer. So I'm just going to peel this back and see if it's transferring. Okay, yes, do you see that? It's transferring. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this very carefully. If you're really good, you can pull the whole piece of paper off. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that looks pretty cool. It mirrors it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. That was the best one I've ever done, you guys. I don't know why, but it was. Okay.
and that's
so-
one with the toner. That's the one with the toner.
Yes, this is toner. Yeah, and it's much more reliable. Although, yeah, like I said, you can try it with your inkjet if that's what you have at home. I would try it first before you go. You have to go out to Staples, but just try first just to see. So remember, I told you I didn't get it. I just did mostly this top area. So I'm just going to tear away the paper. All right. So now I did really well. As you can see, it looks like it came out pretty well. You still have a little bit of paper on the back here. So with the sort of soft part of my fingers, I'm just rubbing off, this extra paper. Honestly, this is where people get into trouble. If I were you, I would wait until the whole thing is really dry and then come back with a little bit of water on your finger. And then when you're sure it's really, really dry, you can go back and just get rid of any of the excess paper that's still there. But that's how you do a really quick transfer. And what Sarah was saying is she was doing the same thing, only she waited for it to dry. Am I right, Sarah? Is that what you're saying? You put it on top and then you waited for it to dry and then you peeled it off? No, you did it like I did. You did
I
it
just
quick
did
way
it like
too?
you did. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. So another way to do it, if you're, this is like for instant gratification. Like you just want to get it done. You want to see it. You want to work. So but it takes a little bit of practice to get to be able to do it like this. I mean, when I first did it, I was not nearly this careful with it. But if you don't want to do it this way, you can simply turn over your piece of paper, let the whole thing dry, and then like an hour or two, come back later, spray the back with water. And then what will happen is that your paper will just come off because the paper won't stick. The only thing that'll stick really well to the acrylic is your toner.
Mary Ellen did that with an inkjet print, but you're doing it with a laser print, right?
This is laser, yeah.
Yeah, so, but Mary Ellen seemed to have good success with her inkjet.
Like I said, try it.
But I don't think it was transferring the image onto the paper like it is here. It was more gluing the top layer of the paper onto the paper. Because then I peeled off a couple of layers of paper.
Mhm. Well, there are a couple of different ways, but this is laser is more reliable
Because of the toner.
because of the toner. The toner is heat set on there. Inkjet is not. An inkjet is water soluble, so you're working with a water soluble substance, which is acrylic paint. And so it could, hurt your image, but try it. Like I said, so there's that, everybody. So I'm wondering for, the next, this is our third, we're right in the middle. We have 2 more classes after today, just 2 more, I think. I would love to suggest that you, if you wanted to do this and this was of interest to you, to pick a way of working and just, like I said, a group of work that's related either by a topic or by a technique, something so that you at the end of this class, can have like 6 to 8 pieces of prints that relate to each other somehow. So that's a good thing to work toward. And otherwise, I would just say, keep playing with your composition, keep working with that, keep trying to figure out, what elements you can do without to make a more impactful image. How far is too far? And when is it not quite enough? To keep asking yourself those questions, keep trying and playing and working with these images. Does that make sense? So I don't want anybody to feel intimidated by the idea of working in a series, but that is a really natural way to go next. Especially if you've taken this class several times, it might be because I think when you go deeper into one specific idea, you tend to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Instead of trying this and trying that and this and that. Sounds good? So we have about half an hour to go into work in class today. So let's do that. And let's try to come back at about 5 minutes of the hour and see where we are then. Okay. Yes.
Probably not going to be able to do that today.
Okay.
But I will look forward to seeing what everybody does. And thank you. I really appreciate
Sounds
the
good.
sharing. It's great.
Sounds
Could
good.
I ask one quick question, or I'll put it in the chat, or people could put it in the chat? I'm having trouble finding paint, good colors. Yeah.
Gotta go online.
So
Kate,
I went to Michael's, and of course I always go to our Arlington place. But anyway,
go to Blick. Go to Blick.
Blick. Okay,
They
yeah.
there you
come-
have it. Thank you.
Yeah, Blick is great. Ordering it or going there, they have
Yeah.
a really great supply of just anything you'd want to. Yeah.
So I was hoping that we were gonna do some stuff with collage, only because
for
I
it.
have
Katie,
so much work, but we're not gonna, that would just be up to me. I thought we would do something with it, but like do a class on it or something like that, but
well, I mean, we
I
could,
can,
but I think, I would just go ahead and do it, and
Okay.
have it be part of what the class is. Absolutely.
okay.
Why not? There's nothing wrong with it. And as I said, this is about any means that you want to use to get to
Yeah.
a place where you feel good about your work. And it,
Right.
yeah.
Can I just say, Katie, the image transfer, I
Yeah.
use that a lot in collage. Like all the stuff I showed today was collage. And I find that like doing it the quick way that Adria just showed, I
Yeah.
find is really a nice integration for collage because you already have like matte medium out when you're collaging. And
Yep.
so it's just kind of a nice, like quick way to integrate some printmaking and use like mono printed, pieces of paper that you've got around and stuff. And it's an easy way
Yeah.
to move things around. So I would say that would be a good
Okay.
transition to collage.
Yeah,
if
that's
you wanna do
good.
that.
And just,
Absolutely.
and that is, and you use the regular printer, like the at-home printer, not the one with the toner, right?
Yeah, I just did quick and dirty. I mean, I think you see the difference in the images, but I kind of like the ghostly kind of quality to it.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for
Yeah.
like a really sharp. I like the way that it isn't perfect, even close, So I think it depends on what you want. If you want something, like if you are working with like a photograph that you took that you really want,
Mhm.
that to be clearer or something, then it would be more important to do the
Yeah.
laser
If it
printer.
was gonna
But
be like
I
a-
don't know, for my purposes, it's just been, because I did printmaking in college, and
Uh-huh.
the way I was taught to do it there was like using wintergreen oil and I'm just like, why didn't anybody tell me how to do this before?
Yeah.
Because people
Yeah.
didn't know, Sarah. People didn't know
No.
about the acrylic mediums then.
How? I'm not that old.
Well, they should have known. Well, because
But
if
the-
people aren't painting in acrylic, they don't know much about acrylics.
Yeah, I mean, I learned
that.
with oils, but
Yeah.
it was just like crazy to me because this
Yeah.
is so like, wintergreen
Absolutely.
oil is so,
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's from the ancient days.
and
Yes,
it's really
yes,
the exact same, like the stuff that I like to do for printmaking is like exactly the same effect that I'm getting just without a press, using a gel plate and using the acrylic medium.
Mm.
So I'm a fan.
Yeah, me
of
too.
that kind of.
No, me
Katie.
too, absolutely.
Yeah.
Katie and Sarah,
Yeah.
this is a collage just made from monotypes. So, here, I'll go.
Hold on.
I pin you. Yeah,
Can
that's nice, Mary.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just to show you,
Yeah.
so you can really, this is all monotype.
Yeah,
So you can really have fun just doing collage that way too.
yeah. I like doing the collage, I have to admit,
That's
yeah.
great, yeah, yeah.
And
so I don't have-
that the background is like a paper that you worked on that you.
Yeah, it's a monotype. It was just a monotype that, that I didn't use.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to, actually control your designs more. I have no problem with the collage.
Yeah.
I think collage is just an extension of what we're already doing. Absolutely, Katie. And it's a great way to, you could even stop printing for a while, go back to some of the prints you've already made, and then just,
Well, I
work on
have
the
so
collage
many.
that way.
That's the things. I have so many, and
Yeah.
a lot of them I just love
Right?
the way they are.
Yeah.
But I got quite a pile of them.
That's a great place to start. And, for your background, you could just do, a flat color, or you could just paint, something on a piece of paper and let that be your background color. So you can really, mix your printmaking shapes with painted backgrounds, then add paint on top of that. There's a lot you could do. Absolutely.
I think it's also like when you're ever like not feeling particularly inspired to make something specific, it's a nice way. You just monoprint papers and you're like, I'm just gonna just make and have a pile of papers. And then you have like all these different textures and you can integrate them into collage, or you can then print on top of them later or whatever. Like it's sort of
Yeah.
just a nice filler, like, or you don't have that much time or something.
Yeah.
That's
That's a
what-
nice idea, yeah.
It's like doing color wheels or color
Yeah.
charts. You're not quite sure what you want to do, but it's just so much fun. You learn so much about color.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and you can play around with color and composition and all that. Yeah.
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 And the
Wait,
stuff
I-
that we-
I have a technical question, Adria. If I don't clean my brayers and the open acrylic dries on them, does that affect the quality of them?
No, you can just wash them off, and you can
Happens all
also
the time.
just leave them for a while in some Murphy's oil soap. And just take, after a few minutes, take it out and wash it, it'll come right off.
Oh, really? Because I left it in water and soap for a long time, but it didn't come
Yeah.
off.
Murphy's.
But
Okay,
as long as the gunk is off, it doesn't make a difference what color, if you've washed it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, right?
Okay, great.
Just a second.
I think it's true that one thing I like about the collage, for me, it help, I have more control. And I mean, I can make the design, more control over the design, since I'm trying to play with that. I think that's true, that it's one of the benefits. It's more predictable, right? You see it. You can put it
Yeah.
down, you take it off.
For me, it's more punchy, that's a Yiddish word, fiddly. And so sometimes like it's too little, and
Yeah.
I want to have more of my body in it, like the way
Yeah.
you do.
the
Yeah.
painting, yeah.
It's really nice to work that way.
Yeah.
But also too, I mean, I've seen people work like paint, like they're painting and they work a collage into the paint too,
Yeah.
right? They Work
Yeah.
their stuff into the paint, which is
Yeah. And they
which is
use the
kinda
paint,
interesting.
use the paint as glue, because it's acrylic, it's just anything will stick on top of it when it's wet.
What is it?
Acrylic,
it?
acrylic paint is like glue, so you can.
Oh,
stick-
yeah, right, yes, right.
All right, well, take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye,
Okay,
Kate.
see you.
All right, so we'll come back together in about, I don't know, not a long time, about 15 minutes, just to kind of wrap up. But as I said, to follow, at this point in the class, follow what your interests are, and it'll be great. We'll all learn from everybody's various, printmaking, and I'm here if you have any questions to help you troubleshoot. But yeah.
I have to leave. Thank you, Adria and everybody. See you next week.
So everybody, I don't know how many of us are actually working. I'm just wondering if we should just call it the class, and those of you who need to go should just, go ahead. And those of you who are still working, you know what you're doing. Does anybody have any questions before next week that you'd like me to answer? We should. Mary Ellen, you're muted. I muted you.
No, I have no questions.
Okay.
Just
Okay. We're
So
glad
we
to
just
see you.
have 2 more classes, Adria?
Yes, 2 more classes after today.
Classes, okay. And basically, we're just gonna find one thing to do to zero in on that we can kind of dive into for the next.
Yeah, dive into it a little, right, exactly. Some, just really, this is the studio practices when you
Yep.
kind of hone in, and just take something a little bit further instead of trying this and that. So see if you can focus for a little bit on this. And meanwhile, we'll still, be checking in. And I'll still be introducing some other techniques in class. And yeah, that's that. And I will send the little video that I made about.
Oh, yeah, on the
composition.
one on design, on composition.
Yes, and so
Good.
maybe that it's a better thing to do rather than taking time out of the class for it. But really, everybody's doing just a super job with, really starting to pay much more attention to that, and it's really paying off. It's looking great.
Okay.
Okay, you all.
Thanks a lot.
See you next
Okay.
time.
And,
Bye-bye.
and Mary, I'll see you on Sunday. Mary and I are gonna get together on Sunday.
That's awesome. Yay. Super,
Yeah.
super. Good. Bye-bye.